Hello and welcome to the next guitar lesson on Koyunbaba by Carlo Domeniconi. We're going to be checking out the last section of movement 3, the melody, where to find it, the bar chord from hell section, how to nail it, how to get it right, and then why you've probably already learned most of this information before if you've played through movement 1 and 2. Let's dive straight into movement 3 of Koyunbaba by Carlo Domeniconi. Welcome to the back half of movement 3 of Koyunbaba. Now, the fantastic bit of this first entire page of this back half is you've pretty much done everything if you've done movement 2. So movement 2 was triplets. Hopefully that is all under your fingers and in the bag. We're now going to do pretty much the same left hand movements. There's not much difference. Again, the magic for Domeniconi is in the right hand. We have the same pattern as the previous video. A, M, I, P. 4 strings. A, M, I, P. 3 strings. So this pattern runs through the entirety of movement 3. If you haven't already checked it out, check out the first video, which I'll show you how to nail that. We're just going to dive straight in. So with 4 notes this time on the pattern. And again, notice that I'm pre-preparing fingers where I can. First fingers down so I can slide into the next set of thirds. And then that repeats. We shift down into fret 5 and it is 4 notes. And it's at this point here where the pattern changes into just a straight 4 notes AMIP across 4 strings. And a low C sharp. So here we go again. And then we bounce back up to 9. With the AMIP 4 and AMIP 3 strings. And then we go into what was the ending turnaround idea, or the development idea in movement 2. And again, notice that it is AMIP 4, AMIP 3, and after that, bounce back down to 5. We'll come back to that bar there because there's a little sneaky pull off there which is offbeat. Okay, I'm not going to go over this again because this is just repeat material. There is not a lot of left hand change. We're going to dive into that little bar, which is going to take us into the next big section and the climax. This is where we've all been heading to across these last 5 pages of movement number 3. Okay, so this bar here needs a little bit of a work on it. If you've never done this before, we are literally AMIP and then into a pull off. You hold your second finger down. To be in time, so it's 1 and 2 and 4. Alright, so that's going to take a little bit because you're not doing, you pull off, it's not impossible. It's a lovely, lovely little idea, and it heralds the change and it gets our fingers off the fretboard because we're going to be heading for a series of bar chords here at 5, and then at 7, and then up at 8, the bar chord section from hell. So you're going to need to get those fingers off there and into the 5th fret. So practice that change like a 2, 0, 5 bar chord, and we'll check out the next section. Rightio, welcome to the bar chords from hell. I am going to break them up into each bar chord individually. So it's 5, and then it's 7, and then we have one at 8 eventually, where you're barring across all 8. The reason this is so tough is because you've got to keep that bar down. Notes have to ring on. There are no two ways about it. They have to ring on, so this has got to be stable. So remember again, do not squeeze with the thumb. You want to pull back on the guitar, let gravity help you a little bit, drop your elbow, and make sure that this hand here on the right is pulling back as well. So when you pull back, you're stabilizing the guitar. Thumb should be nice and relaxed, and then your left hand fingers are going to be playing melody notes throughout this. So the 3rd finger, 4th finger, and again trying to make sure that your hand is in the right position. As you can hear there, mine isn't quite 100%. Okay, from a right hand pattern point of view, you are looking at P, A, M, I. P on the next string down, string 5, 3rd finger on. A, M, I. P on the next string down, string 4, 4th finger on. P on the 3rd string, A, M, I. So if you need to practice that shift between the right hand finger playing the 4th string into the 3rd string, give it a bash. And again, I would suggest take the left hand off. But if you've been playing this entire section, you shouldn't have too much of a problem with it. The pattern then goes back up the strings. 4, 5, 6, 5, 4, 3, before it changes. So right hand on its own looks like this through the entirety of that 5th string bar. 6, 5, 4, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5, 4, 3. Shift. Nice and simple. Put it all together and noticing that my 3rd finger and 4th finger come off after the fact this time, so that we have this melody. Before it changes. That needs to come out. That is clearly marked on the score. Right, let's check the next bar chord section out. Welcome to the next bar chord. We are at 7 this time. Now, I would suggest you split this into right hand, left hand. Right hand point of view, it is longer. You're going to go through the pattern 3 times. So the pattern is 6, 5, 4, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's do 2, 3. And then you're going to change into the next bar chord at 8. From a melody point of view, we have bar, finger 2, finger 4, and then while you're there, you're going to move on to the top string. 9, 7, 11, 7, 9, 7, back onto string 2, 4, 2, 1. And you should have got a hint now of this melody. which has been popping up through the entirety of this piece. It is the prevalent main melody for Koyunbaba. It just sort of swims to the top of different right hand textures and floats back down again. So we have a hint there of it. Okay, putting it together is going to be a little bit of a challenge, but I suggest that you do this one as a first mini micro study. That's the first one, and then switch. And then switch back onto the second string again. And then put those three sections together as a whole. That is the best way of tackling this bit. It'll also give you a chance to build up stamina in your left hand because it requires a lot of pulling to get that down. Make sure that these fingers, that's nice and firm, really relaxed. The more relaxed your left hand fingers are in this section that are loose, the better you will find that. Putting it together, let's hope, sounds like this. Alright, oh man, that is tough. Alright, I've only been filming for sort of half an hour now, but that is really, really tough, which is why you're getting some squeaks there. Welcome to the next bar chord section. This is a very short section because it is the high point of this piece before we get into the fantastic accelerando with right hand arpeggios. So we're now up at 8. You obviously know the pattern now. The melody is going to move from up to the second string. You stick there, and then you literally are going to into the next micro study. So there's not much really there. The only thing, by this point, your left hand is probably going to be burning a little bit from all the barring. And then if you can see my finger there, I've had to do a lot more than I would normally do because I'm obviously doing explanations and holding it down. My first finger is starting to feel the pain. So again, top tip here is practice this in sections and then let it go, practice something else, come back to it when your left hand first finger is gain some feeling back, and then dive back in. Once you're playing it, that's a different story. The playing it is relatively quick and painless, but practicing it and learning it, not so much. Do it in sections, do your left hand and your right hand separately, and then put them together. And that's it right there. Okay, so the next section involves left hand and right hand. First of all, let's cover the right hand. You are going to be doing PIMA, AAA. And then I would suggest IM so that you can get back into that is the technique, and I can't do it now, but it comes up in Villalobos number 11 and many, many other pieces. It's very much a flamenco idea. So we're up here at 8, and you've got your 4th finger down on the high B, melody down, and then it goes onto the 3rd string and repeats before he releases. Now we've already seen the next set of ideas, this here. In movement number 1. So this is basically a culmination of movement 1 and movement 2 right on the end of movement 3. So again, here we go. This is the first set of bar chords. Check out the next one in the next micro study. Welcome to the next bar chord. So we moved back down from 8 where we were, and then open strings, and leave your finger hovering there because you're going to be at 5. And again, it's the same idea, just with slower rhythm. 4, 3, 1, and then he repeats it on the second string. So it's just a series of chords. Main tip here, as with all of them, is if you can, roll your right hand as a rest stroke or a sweep picked rest stroke into string 4, and make sure that you're heading for string 4, and make sure that where the melody is really firmly rest stroked in. So again, this is right hand fine control of the A finger across this rake. Hi, quick interruption here to say that if you're enjoying this video, please consider hitting the like button and maybe even subscribing to the channel. There's a ton of new content coming your way, not including the last movement of Koyunbaba. Let's dive straight back into this lesson. Welcome to the last bar chord here. So again, we're in this first position bar chord, the one that we saw in movement 1. It's a massive stretch, and you're going to have to really drag back on that to get these 2 notes. So it's going to be on the 3rd string for the melody, before you get to the open strings. So again, this time there's no rake. It is just literally nice, and as Domeniconi has said, rubato, which is going to be the challenge here. And then we're into the last section. So this is challenging, but if you have already done this in the first section, you're not going to find it as challenging. So I'm just going to move on to the last little bit. And again, this pops up in movement 1, but at a different rhythmic rate. So straight off the bat, M finger in the right hand. This time it's played. This time it's hammered on. So the next time it's hammered on, and then a delayed resolution. It's a fantastic end to this piece, and it really does tie up all 3 of these movements together. The next movement is a completely different movement. It has a development of all of these ideas, but with a nice, fantastic left and right hand pattern, which is, you know, the culmination of this piece. So all together, that looks a little bit like this. Thank you very much for staying until the end. This has been brought to you by classicalguitarrocks.com. If you want to grab some more of this 6-string inspiration, head over there now, classicalguitarrocks.com. There are a ton of lessons, including the entirety of Villa-Lobos' 12 etudes and his 5 preludes, all broken down, all accessible to everybody.